Welcome to the Deep Dive, the show where we cut through the noise and get you straight to what matters. Think about your day, checking social media, sending a message, maybe making an online payment. What's powering all of that, often invisibly? Tiny unseen keys. We're talking about API keys, and they're not just, technical jargon. They are the silent engines of innovation, orchestrating nearly every digital interaction. And in 2025, their landscape is evolving at, well, a breakneck pace.
Indeed. These keys are essentially the master access points to the digital kingdom, granting specific permissions to services and data. As our world becomes more interconnected, understanding how these keys are used, secured, and governed isn't just important for developers anymore. It's crucial for pretty much anyone who touches technology.
Right. That's exactly why today our mission is to navigate the cutting-edge developments in API usage, security, and governance. We're going to unpack the latest for two major players, Bluesky and OpenAI.
Two very interesting case studies.
Definitely. And we'll examine their broader impact across industries and reveal the crucial shifts that are redefining how we interact with technology. So get ready for some surprising facts and, I think, essential insights that impact your digital life.
We have a lot of fascinating ground to cover, so let's jump right in.
Okay, let's start with Bluesky. It's emerging as a really compelling decentralized alternative to the traditional social networks. It's built on something called the Authenticated Transfer Protocol, or AT protocol. Now, for listeners who might not be deep into decentralized tech, what exactly is the AT protocol and why is it so central to Bluesky's approach?
Good question. So the AT protocol is an open source framework. It's specifically designed for building these decentralized social applications. Think of it as a set of rules and standards that allows different servers, or instances as they're often called, to interoperate.
Okay.
This gives users more control over their data and identity, and it moves away from a single centralized platform model. And, Bluesky has already amassed a remarkable 28 million registered users.
Wow, 28 million.
Yeah, it's a huge indicator of interest in this decentralized model.
That truly highlights a shift in the social media space.
Okay.
And with that many users, obviously how Bluesky handles authentication is absolutely key. They've made a significant move recently, right? From older app passwords to something new.
Absolutely. A big shift. As of September 2024, their Oath for AT protocol has become the primary authentication method. This is a really substantial security upgrade. Oath, or Open Authorization, it's a standard that allows applications to access user data on other services without requiring the user to share their actual password.
Go.
It's like giving an app a temporary valet key instead of your main house keys.
Right, the valet key analogy.
Yeah.
I like that. So if Oath is like that valet key, what are the most critical improvements listeners should be aware of? How do they actually enhance protection in practice?
Well, there are a few key advancements. For one, it offers automated discovery of authorization servers, which kind of streamlines the setup process for developers, makes it easier. Then there's dynamic client registration, which makes connecting applications more secure from the get-go. But I think for everyday users, the real game changer is the widespread use of ephemeral tokens for browser and mobile access.
Ephemeral. Okay, what does that mean exactly?
Ephemeral essentially means short-lived.
Short-lived credentials.
Right.
So if a token is compromised somehow, its utility is severely limited because it's only valid for a very brief period.
Precise.
That significantly reduces the attack surface, doesn't it?
It really does. It's like a temporary pass that just expires very quickly, minimizing the window for any kind of exploitation. It's a very smart move for improving overall security, especially in a decentralized environment where trust can be, distributed across many points.
Now, with so much activity on a decentralized network like this, managing usage and ensuring stability must be crucial. Bluesky has pretty specific rate limits in place, right? Can you break down how that point system works for content creation and general API requests?
They do, and it's quite granular, actually. For content write operations, so posting, updating per account, you have a ceiling of 5,000 points per hour and 35,000 points per day.
Okay.
And the way the points break down is creating a post costs you 3 points, updating one is 2 points, and deleting a post is just 1 point.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then for general API requests across all endpoints, it's 3,000 requests per 5 minutes, and that's limited by IP address. They also have tighter limits for critical operations like account creation and session management, which, makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
This granular control really highlights a key challenge for decentralized platforms. How do you balance that open access with resource stability? Bluesky's innovative point system offers a kind of blueprint for how they're tackling that without, traditional centralized oversight.
And these limits must really shape how applications built on Bluesky can operate. Take the Bluesky feed creator, for instance. How does that leverage this API infrastructure for its features?
Right. The feed creator is a prime example of the AT protocol in action. It captures posts in real time to build custom feeds. It uses intelligent caching to serve potentially thousands of users at high speed. It integrates with starter packs for curated feed generation. And crucially, it offers manual moderation capabilities, approving posts, blocking users.
Moderation is key there.
Absolutely. This combination of robust API management and effective moderation is essential for maintaining a healthy, community-driven, decentralized social platform.
So having explored how Bluesky is securing its decentralized future, let's maybe turn our attention to the generative AI space. OpenAI has also been making massive waves, particularly with its economic and security overhaul. The headline-grabbing news from June 2025 was the O3 API experiencing an astounding 80% price reduction.
Yeah, 80%. That's huge.
It's massive for developers, but what does it really mean for the broader industry?
Well, the sheer scale of that reduction is fascinating. Think about it. Original costs were $10 for input and $40 for output per 1 million tokens. Now, those figures have just plummeted to $2 input and $8 output per 1 million tokens.
Wow.
This radical shift makes advanced AI incredibly cost-effective. It really opens the door for smaller businesses, individual developers, to build sophisticated applications that were previously just out of reach purely because of compute costs. It sort of democratizes access to powerful AI.
And it doesn't stop there for cost savings either. They've also introduced a 8.50 cent per million token cached input discount for repeated content.
Right, for efficiency.
And a generous 50% discount for asynchronous processing via their batch API. These are huge incentives for efficiency, really pushing developers to optimize how they use the models.
Indeed. And if we look at their model-specific pricing from just before that, May 2025, GPT-4o, the larger, more capable model, is priced at $5 input and $20 output per million tokens, while GPT-4o Mini comes in at a much more accessible $0.60 input and $2.40 output per million tokens.
Big difference.
Big difference. And these models boast a substantial context window, too, up to 128,000 input tokens and 16,384 output tokens.
Okay, let's put that context window in perspective.
Yeah.
128,000 tokens. That's roughly equivalent to reading an entire novel or processing a massive code base in a single prompt. It's fundamentally changing what's possible for complex AI tasks.
Absolutely.
But for all that power, there are still usage limits, especially for free tier users. How does that work?
Right. For GPT-4o, free users are limited to somewhere between 10 and 60 messages within a 5-hour window. And there's an automatic switch to the GPT-4o mini model once that limit is hit.
Okay.
What's truly a moment, though, is the image generation limit on the free tier. Only 3 images per day.
3? That seems low.
It does. And the surprising reason given by OpenAI, GPU overheating problems with a 5-hour reset period. It's a fascinating little peek behind the digital curtain, reminding us that even the most advanced AI is still running on physical hardware.
Huh. It's almost like the computers need a coffee break, too.
Something like that.
For paying users on the Plus tier, the limits are, of course, higher. GPT-4 allows 40 messages every 3 hours. GPT-4 bumps that up to 80 messages every 3 hours, and O3 Mini gives you 150 messages per day. DLE3 users get 40 prompts every 3 hours, allowing up to 200 images daily.
And beyond just the pricing, OpenAI has also overhauled its authentication architecture in 2025. They've shifted to a project-based authentication system, introducing project-scoped API keys and service accounts per project.
What's the benefit there?
Well, this provides much better isolation, meaning if one project's key is compromised, others remain safe. And it also facilitates easier key rotation, which is crucial for security hygiene.
And similar to Bluesky, they're also using those ephemeral tokens for browser and mobile applications, but with an even tighter lifespan, right? Typically 60 to 600 seconds.
That's right. Even shorter-lived, further reducing that potential attack surface. It's clear that these short-lived credentials are a growing, really vital trend for security in 2025.
So what's fascinating here is if we connect this to the bigger picture. How are these evolving API key strategies playing out across the wider industry? From groundbreaking decentralized social networks to the evolving AI landscape, it's clear API keys are central. But to truly grasp their impact, let's zoom out and see how these digital master keys are deployed, secured, and monetized across critical industries. It reveals both common strategies and some unique challenges.
Okay, yeah. Let's consider financial services first, maybe using Stripe as our primary example. They process over 500 million API requests daily.
Wow, 500 million.
Yeah, and log 5 billion money movement events. What's crucial here isn't just the sheer volume, but how they segment their keys for different purposes.
Right, segmentation. How does that work?
They have secret keys for server-side operations with full access. These are the powerful ones you protect fiercely. Then publishable keys for client-side applications like in a web browser with limited permissions. And finally, webhook secrets for verifying incoming events, confirming they're really from Stripe.
Okay, so different keys for different jobs.
Exactly. This tiered access, granting only the necessary permissions, is a fundamental security practice we see mirrored across the industry. PayPal, Square, Plaid, they all emphasize granular permissions and often multi-factor authentication.
And it's not just about security, is it? It's tied into the business model.
Absolutely. Stripe's pricing is transaction-based, typically no monthly fees, just that 2.9% plus 30 cents per card payment, with an additional bit for Stripe Connect. And they've continued to enhance security with things like automatic key rotation and advanced fraud detection.
Then we have the giants of cloud infrastructure. AWS, for example, they use access key IDs, secret access keys, and temporary session tokens. But what's truly noteworthy, and a best practice every developer should probably heed, is that IAM roles are the preferred alternative to static keys. What exactly are IAM roles and why are they better?
Right. IAM roles, identity and access management roles, are essentially temporary credentials. Applications and services can assume these roles to gain permissions for a limited time, unlike static keys that are long-lived and, if compromised, provide persistent access.
The big risk.
A huge risk. Roles are temporary and tied to specific tasks or services, really reducing that window of vulnerability. AWS also offers Secrets Manager to help with automatic rotation of any remaining static keys, and standard best practices like using environment variables, the principle of least privilege only giving needed permissions, and that 90-day rotation are strongly recommended. This pattern of moving away from static keys is a major industry shift we're seeing.
And finally, let's look at software development itself with GitHub. Beyond just the standard REST and GraphQL APIs, GitHub Actions API for workflow automation, and webhooks for real-time event notifications. Something truly significant happened in August 2025 that kind of reshaped how developers interact with their code, right?
Yes, this is where AI truly intersects with API usage in a profound way. GitHub integrated GPT-5 into GitHub Copilot for vastly enhanced code generation.
Wow, GPT-5.
Yeah. They also introduced GitHub models and actions for automated tasks like issue triage and documentation generation. And the Copilot coding agent, which can autonomously create code and even review pull requests. It's a complete reimagining of the development workflow, really.
That sounds incredibly powerful.
It is. But even with these advanced AI-powered features, GitHub still maintains rate limits, 5,000 authenticated requests per hour, showing that robust API management remains absolutely essential no matter how smart the tools get.
So we've seen how API keys are basically everywhere, powering everything from our social lives to finance and software development. But now let's get to the alarming reality. API security incidents in 2025. And listeners, maybe hold on to your hats for this statistic. A staggering 99% of organizations experienced API security incidents this year.
99%. That's a truly concerning figure. It highlights a pervasive vulnerability that just crosses every single industry. Consider some of the major breaches we've seen recently. In December 2024, remember that Postman security flaw? It exposed 30,000 Postman workspaces.
30,000.
Yeah, compromising live API keys, active access tokens, sensitive health data, corporate data. This wasn't just hypothetical. These were active credentials out in the wild.
And then in July 2025, XAI experienced that very public API key leak when a private key was accidentally published on GitHub. A simple mistake.
A simple, devastating mistake. This single key granted access to over 50 AAI large language models and potentially exposed sensitive government data they were working with. These are not small-scale incidents. They have massive repercussions.
And we can also learn a lot from looking back just a bit further to 2024. Dell, for instance, saw 49 million users affected by weak API registration processes, just not locking the front door properly, essentially.
Right. And Twilio exposed 33.4 million phone numbers through something called API enumeration, where attackers basically just guessed valid phone numbers via the API. The Internet Archive had 31 million users compromised due to unrotated API tokens. Old keys were still active and got misused. Trello impacted 15 million users through an unsecured API endpoint, just a door left wide open. And Optus in Australia exposed 9.5 million users due to forgotten API patches, leaving known vulnerabilities unaddressed.
The critical takeaway here is just chilling. 95% of API attacks came from authenticated sessions.
That's the key point.
This means the danger often comes from within, or from seemingly trusted access points, or from keys that were legitimate but then got compromised. And to make matters worse, remember that only 10% of organizations reportedly had an API governance strategy in place.
A massive gap.
Yeah, it underscores a massive gap in how these critical assets are managed, even after authentication.
So this raises the really important question. What can actually be done to secure the future of APIs? The foundation, as always, lies in those fundamental security practices.
Absolutely. And the first rule, which really cannot be stressed enough, is never hard-code API keys directly into application code. Why is that such a critical misstep?
Well, because if your code repository is ever exposed, and repositories get exposed all the time, accidentally or otherwise, those keys are instantly compromised. They should always be stored securely using environment variables or dedicated secret management tools. These tools often include encryption for data in transit and at rest.
Okay.
And critically, regular rotation of API keys is just non-negotiable. AWS, as we mentioned, recommends rotation every 90 days. We also need to adhere to compliance requirements like OpenAI's usage policies, ensuring data privacy, anonymization where needed, and implementing robust audit trails for all API activity. Log everything.
Beyond those basics, modern governance frameworks are evolving quite rapidly. There's a clear shift towards centralized API governance. What does that look like in practice, and what are the benefits?
Centralized governance essentially means establishing uniform standards for how APIs are designed and documented, implementing consistent security and compliance policies across an entire organization, and crucially, embedding automated governance checks directly into CI/CD pipelines.
CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous deployment.
Yeah.
So security baked in early.
Exactly. Baked into every stage of software development, not just bolted on as an afterthought.
Yeah.
Role-based access controls, or RBAC, are also essential here, ensuring only authorized individuals or services have access to specific API functionalities. What's interesting, though, is the flexibility these frameworks often allow, with defined exception paths based on the API type and its specific use case. It acknowledges that, not all APIs are created equal or carry the same risk.
And this next development could be a real game changer for how we manage APIs. The rise of AI and API management itself. For LLM-specific governance, we're now hearing about treating prompts as executable microspecifications. What does that mean for how we secure AI interactions?
It means we have to apply the same kind of rigor to prompts as we would to any piece of code. They're not just casual inputs anymore. They actually define the AI's behavior. This necessitates human oversight for critical AI outputs. You can't just let the AI run wild with important decisions. And using tests as contracts for validating LLM output, ensuring the AI behaves predictably and securely within defined boundaries. The development of private LLM APIs is also really significant here.
How so?
While they offer benefits like data sovereignty, keeping your data in-house compliance with regulations like HIPAA or GDPR becomes easier, and you can implement customized security protocols that might reduce dependency on third-party policies you don't control.
And to manage all these complex LLM APIs, AI gateway solutions are becoming pretty much indispensable, right?
Yes, absolutely. These gateways sit in front of the LLM APIs and handle things like load balancing across different models or instances, cost optimization, maybe automatically selecting models based on performance and cost for a given task, centralized security enforcement, and comprehensive observability for monitoring and logging requests and responses.
And what about AI helping with the governance itself?
That's where it gets really exciting. We're seeing the emergence of automated governance tools powered by AI. Think machine learning-based anomaly detection, looking for unusual API usage patterns that might indicate a breach. Dynamic application of governance rules through automatic policy enforcement. Even predictive analytics to anticipate API traffic spikes and scale resources proactively. And intelligent security monitoring, providing real-time threat detection, constantly learning and adapting.
Looking at the emerging trends then, API-first security seems to be gaining traction. That incorporates things like zero-trust architectures, where every single API access requires explicit authorization, no implicit trust.
Right. And DevSecOps, embedding security directly into the development cycle from the start, AI-powered threat detection is becoming standard, and there's also a growing focus on securing the entire API supply chain, knowing where your third-party API dependencies come from, and ensuring they're secure.
Standardization is also key, isn't it? With the Open API specification becoming the sort of industry standard for API documentation.
Definitely. Plus, increased GraphQL adoption for more flexible data querying and async API gaining ground for event-driven architectures, which are becoming more common. And the integration of AI just continues AI-augmented development, helping generate documentation and tests, and these new AI agent APIs enabling entirely new kinds of automated workflows for businesses.
Well, we've certainly covered a lot today. 2025 truly marks a pivotal year for API keys. We've seen these significant cost reductions in LLMs, making powerful AI much more extensible.
Which is great for innovation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we've also seen this heightened landscape of security threats. This really creates an imperative for robust governance strategies. These tiny keys, they power virtually everything in our digital world, but they also represent critical vulnerabilities that demand our constant attention.
Indeed. The balance between innovation, cost efficiency, and security is maybe more delicate than it's ever been. Automated governance and proactive security measures are no longer just nice to haves, they're essential for long-term success in our hyper-connected world.
So as we wrap up, here's something for you to consider. With AI-powered tools increasingly managing and even securing our API ecosystem, how might this shift our reliance? Moving from human vigilance maybe to automated intelligence? And what new, perhaps unseen risks or maybe opportunities might that introduce for your own digital footprint in the coming years? What part of your digital life today relies on a hidden API key you've never even thought about? And what are the implications for your own data security?
Hmm. Powerful questions for all of us to consider as we navigate this. The digital world is evolving constantly, and so must our understanding and our vigilance.
That's all for this deep dive. We hope you're leaving feeling well-informed and with plenty to ponder. Until next time, keep digging.